all does start with like having that like kind of North Star to aim at. You do have to have like the desired result, because in order to make a roadmap, you first have to know where you're going.
Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other, because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
Now that we are officially in 2025, I wanted to do a fun thing, talk about New Year's resolutions, goal setting, and actually why failure is okay.
Is failure okay?
Failure is a part of life if you're going to actually do anything that's like worth doing and that's hard.
Ooh.
But first, I want to start with New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
Are you a New Year's resolution person?
Not really. I just feel like so much can happen in such a short amount of time. And if you're just living your life, then it's hard to plan. Like, so many things are unexpected. So like my least favorite question people ask us is like, oh, like what are your 5-year goals? Or like, where do you see Tails Up Pup? Are you doing Tails Up Pup for the rest of your life? Like, honestly, I have no idea. Like, we just kind of go with what is going, and like we never expected we would be where we are today. So that's why I find it so hard to know what the future holds.
It's funny that you say that, because like there was another podcast that we did where you talked about like you hate the past and like you love looking towards the future, but only I feel like you are a goal person, and I really do feel like you look out like a year in advance, but you're not one like when it gets beyond like what you think is predictable, I guess you start to be like, it's not even worth our time.
I also think that personal goals to me sound like more appealing than New Year's resolution. Like the title of New Year's resolutions is just kind of like too cheesy for me almost. Plus, like I'm someone who is constantly like reevaluating and making new goals. So I have no idea what I would say my New Year's resolution is right now, because I'm constantly working towards something. So it's like a year-round thing for me.
Well, that's why I wanted to like talk about New Year's resolutions, goals, because I do think that they're linked in a lot of ways. The thing about like the whole like cheesiness of a New Year's resolution that I really don't like, and I've certainly fallen into this trap in the past of like you have this idea of like, oh, I want to make a change, and this could be like at any point during the year. Obviously, if it's really far away from New Year's, maybe you wouldn't do this, but like you kind of like put that change out into the future. In the new year, I'll do this, or you know, in X amount of time, I'll do this, basically delaying the change.
But I do understand, like a lot of people like to have a defining moment, and the new year gives them that. So I understand it, but for myself, I'm just like, if something's broke, like let's fix it now. But I definitely understand why for a lot of people, they're like, okay, now's my time. Let's reevaluate, like sit down and make a goal for the new year.
Yes. Well, so you're literally like kind of saying like my thought process behind this. I feel like as soon as you have like a change in mind, or whenever that like comes to like your consciousness and you are serious about actually doing it, I think no matter what time of the year it is, like you should start tackling that as soon as you can. Build the momentum. You're obviously wanting to do it, and it's kind of like nagging at you. So do it as soon as possible. Don't delay. However, I think whenever we have these like defining moments, a new year happen, that's when I think it's really important to like, no matter what like things that you have going on and goals in your life, that is a really good time to kind of sit back, reflect, and then look forward to say, okay, what are some goals that I want to make for the next year? So whether it could be a birthday, it could be the New Year's. I do think, like you said, a defining moment is important, because that can, you know, get you excited, and like every time you're going to sit down, and like that's going to make sure that you don't put it off.
I also think this is probably personality types or like the Enneagrams. I don't know. This probably has to do with my personality though. But when we were coming up with our New Year's resolutions, instantly my brain was like, I don't like this, because to me it's irrelevant when we're not coming up with the game plan of how we're going to achieve it. And so like when someone's like, okay, mine's going to be lose 20 pounds this year, it's like, okay, like it's so easy to say that. What are you going to do? Like, to me, the resolution should really be, I'm joining a gym, or I'm going to go on a walk every day, or I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day. Like those to me mean more than the end goal of 20 pounds.
Well, I think this is a really good like transition point to now start kind of like not talking as much about resolutions, but talking about the goals. I think anytime you're goal setting, kind of having like a title to your goal is very important. But obviously, a title means nothing and a goal means nothing if you don't have some level of a roadmap to get there.
And really, they're little goals to help you get to your big goal.
Right. So, you have your big goal, and then, in the process of goal setting, that's what we're, going to kind of discuss that process, how we do it, why we think it's important. You need to have kind of that roadmap and these little mini goals along the way.
Well, now that you're saying like, why is it important? I'm just going to answer that right now. I feel like, especially in your 20s and 30s, it's so easy to get in a routine and just like constantly, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you walk the dog, you maybe do a workout, cook some dinner, go to bed. Like, it's so easy to get in that hamster wheel
of routine. Like,
yeah.
I feel like most people like love routine, but the problem is,
and it's easy. Once you're in a routine and you know what to expect, it becomes easy. So you don't want to create a goal to do something new or different.
Well, you don't want to throw anything out of your routine.
And a lot of people don't like something hard.
That is also true. I think like one of the most important thing, really kind of what you're saying about a goal is like, that's a very true thing. Like a lot of times I know for me why like I may not want to set one. It's like, then I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z if I set that goal.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's easy to say, I want to have this overarching goal, because if you don't sit down and make the little goals to get there, or the roadmap, then you're not going to achieve it, because, how are you going to lose the 20 pounds if you didn't say that you're going to join a gym or go on a walk or create a new diet, whatever your roadmap is to get there.
I do think like with goal setting, it all does start with like having that like kind of North Star to aim at. You do have to have like the desired result, because in order to make a roadmap, you first have to know where you're going. So if you don't have like that North Star, that goal set out or whatever, you'll never be able to come up with the roadmap and the things that are important, like that need to, at whatever steps you determine to get to that overall goal. So I think the most important reason to have goals is you do need to have something to aim at. Even if you didn't have a roadmap, just having kind of a general direction to go is important. And then I think you can get more tactical on like, okay, now how am I actually going to achieve that goal? Mm-hmm. One thing that I think is very like hard about goal setting is like, again, like how to achieve that and achieve it. One of the ways that I know has worked for us in the past, and for me as well, is like making your goal like public, even if that's to like your spouse, significant other, to a friend, posting it online.
Even just writing it down could be really helpful.
I don't obviously know the exact stats on this, but there's a bunch of studies out there that talk about simply writing something down like makes it X times more likely to happen.
And then if you write it down somewhere that you're going to see every day, can definitely be helpful.
So anything that's a reminder of your goal, and then like, making it public, that just kind of makes you feel that extra level of social pressure to like make yourself have to, like if you post out there like online or like said to your spouse, like I'm going to go to the gym, 3 days a week. And if you keep talking about this with people, like you now feel like not only do you have to do it for yourself, but like you've kind of made this, kind of commitment contract with the people that you've told.
I feel like you can make it fun. And this again probably has to do with like personality types. But for me, I like to be able to see it and like have something fun in between. So like for me, if I was saying I want to go to the gym 3 days a week, I would print out a calendar for the month and then get stickers and put a sticker on each day that I actually went. So then you look at the month and you're like, okay, I did it. And then you can do the next month, like visually seeing that you're accomplishing something.
Yeah, you see your progress.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun for me and what gives me motivation to keep going.
Jerry Seinfeld, the guy that like was the big writer behind the Seinfeld show, he had something where he like had a big calendar or whatever, where he like did a red line through every day that he wrote, and he's like, you start to see those red lines build up, and like you don't want to break your streak,
right?
So he like at least had to write something every day, and if he did, he got to make the streak. And like the longer it gets, the harder it is to break. So whatever that might be, even if it's only 3 days a week, you see, I did it this week, I did it this week, I did it this week. Man, I can't break this week.
I also think a common New Year's resolution has to do with eating, like whether you want to cook more at home or eat healthier, take more protein. And the number one thing that people say in reply to my Instagram stories is like, oh, I wish I could cook that good, or like, I wish I knew how to cook. And you don't just come out the womb knowing how to do it. I want to say back to those people, but there's like no nice way to say it. Is like, get a cookbook, like watch some YouTube videos. Like you can do it, but you have to be determined and actually like saying, oh, I wish I could do that. It's like, you have to have the desire to do it, but you can definitely do it. I would say watching YouTube videos is very helpful because you can see, like, I will never use a recipe that doesn't have photos. And a lot of them online now have like step-by-step photos, but you got to, again, create the roadmap. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do to learn how to do that thing that you want to accomplish?
Well, like that really gets back to what you said in the beginning. Like it's so easy to say like, I want to eat healthier, I want to cook in more. And then like, when it actually comes down to doing the hard work of like learning how to cook those meals and like, doing the extra shopping and spending the extra time, like looking at, new fun recipes, that's when it's like the execution part really falls off. I mean, most of us, like, it's pretty easy to come up with like, I want to do X, Y, or Z. That part's the easy part. It's really the execution that gets hard.
If you're listening and that is one of your goals, the number one appliance that I would recommend is an air fryer because it makes everything so easy and quick. If you can't cook, don't know how to cook, or everything you cook tastes bad, get an air fryer.
They definitely make it easier to clean up too. It's like it's a small area to clean up, which is nice. The other thing is about follow through. I know I talked about like making your goals public, but like having some type of like, and that does give you accountability, but having an actual like person that you're doing a goal with, I think makes it like even that much more level of an accountability. So like if you find somebody that like, hey, I also want to get, like, say for the gym, you have a friend, we're going to go to the gym at least this times a week together, for instance. Now you have someone showing up and like you both are relying on each other to kind of be there.
But sometimes that can hold you back because then if the friend is like, oh, I'm not going today and you were going to go, don't let them not going be the reason you're not going to go.
Yeah, you can't pick a friend that's going to derail your goals. Like you can't let, what they're doing hinge on you. But that's kind of like, I think in general, it normally helps both ways. If they're saying I'm not going to go, then if they do it the next day, then you got to get on their case. You got to be like, no, you can't bail 2 days in a row, and you got to bring them to the gym. And then hopefully if you ever feel like you're not able to go, they'll do the same for you. So you can't let them off the hook. I think you have to be willing to, if you both get into that, like, hey, I'm going to push you, and you want them to do the same.
I will say as an introvert, the hardest thing is going somewhere or doing something new that you've never done before because you don't know what to expect. I think that's the scariest thing. Like going somewhere and you don't know where you're going to park. You don't know where the front door is. Like you don't know where you're going to sit when you get there. Those things are what intimidate me. It's not the actual thing that you're going to be doing there. Like recently I joined the garden club and I had to show up and go inside all by myself. And I had new people inside, but I didn't know everyone inside. And so it was like the fact of going into a new building that you've never been in before, like that is very scary to me. So know that if that's you, you're not alone. And if you just do it one time, you'll feel so much more comfortable the next time. I think that this has a, big relevance to going to a gym for the first time is you don't know where you're going to put your phone. You don't know, like, is there a water fountain? Do I bring my own water? Do I need a mat? Do I need equipment? Like all that stuff.
What is the structure of the workout going to be like? Am I going to look like
most girls
a fool?
Are even wondering like, what are other people wearing? Because there's so many different types of athletic wear. Like, do people wear oversized t-shirts? Do people wear like sports bras? And like, you don't want to look like a misfit. So you kind of want to know what to expect. So it's nice if you can look on their social media or talk to someone who's been there before. But if you can't, you just got to do what you got to do and you'll learn and you'll feel more comfortable the more times you go.
Yeah, I do feel like for all these things, you need to figure out your own psychology. And like you're saying that you need to, scope things out ahead of time. Yeah. So like if that's like where you kind of end up falling off, spend the time, say, I'm going to do the research, I'm going to do this stuff. And if I can't find those things, maybe you make a commitment to yourself that I'll at least go that first time. And if it's terrible, I'll never go back. But
and if you have like super anxiety where all what I'm saying like would really throw you over the edge of never going, then you should probably do better at doing an at-home workout and watching YouTube videos or signing up for something that would motivate you at home. So you don't have to go somewhere to do something and you don't have to. I feel like sometimes people make a goal, like maybe they want to go out, they want to join a gym, they want to do all those things, but then trying to check box too many new things can be too overwhelming. And then you're like, I'm not actually going to do any of it. So maybe you need to do baby steps to get to the little things.
I think this is a very good opportunity now to talk about that. We're talking about goals. Well, what happens if you fail at your goals?
Well, I mean, I feel like you kind of said this in the beginning, but if you're going to try something new, you're likely going to fail in some aspect. And so if you want to accomplish anything worth accomplishing and try something new or change your life around, you're going to have to do those scary things and know that you're going to fail. And that's okay. You turn it around and you try again.
Yeah, and I feel like failure is one of those things that's obviously like never fun. And it's probably kind of two-sided. Like there's definitely failures that like are on you, and well, I guess all failure is on you, but to where it's you didn't do what you needed to do, and you kind of have to look at in the mirror and like make those changes. But then there's other failures that like there's a lot of stuff that's outside of your control, and just because you failed doesn't mean that it wasn't a good goal or that like you're inadequate or things like that. I think a lot of times the fear of failure stops us before we even like get our first foot, moving in the right direction. I think that's like the mindset change that we need to, have around failure is shifting. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from making that first move. And that's with anything in life.
And if you're trying something new, then you're likely going to fail on a scale, because if you've never done it, then you didn't know what to expect. So you probably set your goal too high. If you've never been to the gym and you said you wanted to go 3 days a week, well, maybe you didn't achieve that, but you still made it to the gym. You went one time. Like that in itself is an achievement. And so that's why I feel like having little goals, maybe you failed at the big goal of going 3 times a week, but you still achieved the little goals that still got you there in the first place.
And I feel like, have you ever heard the saying, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like you almost fail your way to like success. Like basically it's like my entire career is like, it was one failure after another, and then I was eventually successful. And like, I feel like if you're doing things right, you're pushing yourself hard enough to where you're putting yourself in a position to fail, and you very likely will fall short.
That feels like us.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Like, even still, like we're constantly trying new things and failing at some things and succeeding at another. And overall, I mean, people view us as successful because, we're here, we're doing our thing.
And I mean,
it doesn't mean that we haven't failed multiple times throughout the way.
And almost everything we start, like in the very beginning, we do fail at it right in the first attempt.
Like, the first bandana I made was for our dogs. But after that, I sold that bandana, and it probably didn't stay well put together like our bandanas do now. So like I even sold a product that would be viewed as a fail, like we didn't even know what we were doing. We just figured it out as we went.
And I even think like the first podcast we filmed, like I think the audio was messed up the wrong way and we couldn't even use it. Like we failed our first podcast attempt. There's so many different things that like we've done that like the first one is terrible and a failure. And then like, but you learn from that.
And some things are bigger financial mistakes than, well, I guess mistakes and failures they're similar.
Very similar.
But yeah, you definitely think about the goals you're setting and how they will financially impact you as well.
And I think like too with failure, you kind of said this, but like if you're not trying anything and like putting yourself in a position to fail, that means that you're literally not taking any significant. If you're only living in your comfort zone of where you're like, I know 100% I'm going to succeed at all the things I'm doing, you're not growing at all. So like if you never pick up that weight that you're like, I'm not so sure that I can lift that, I might fail. Well, you can stay with, 20 pounds for the rest of your life. But, the person that picks up the 25 pounds and tries to do one is like, oh, can't quite do that. Well, now you tried, so you have
to. Sometimes it's embarrassing.
Well, that's isn't most failure embarrassing? Particularly the more public it is, the more embarrassing it is. Mm-hmm. But that's the fear that stops us. You'll never grow in the gym. You'll never grow in your career. You're never going to grow in your hobbies if you're not willing to do the thing. Rock climbing is a very good example. It's like literally that is all I felt like I did when I would go at the gym. It's like I never would be able to complete like the climb. And now when I'm warming up, I can complete those. But when I actually get into the workout, it's like, if I'm doing it right, I'm putting myself on a climb that I can almost do, but I can't quite do it. And then I eventually get it.
You're talking about the gym and failing and trying things that might be embarrassing. I know a goal for you.
What's that?
Double unders.
I am trying. I've been working on them.
Oh, good. Well, that could be your goal for 2025.
The reason that like I don't spend a ton of time doing like the double unders is because like my only real good time to practice is like in the middle of a workout, and you don't want to spend your whole time failing to where like I'm now not getting a good workout.
Sometimes you need to though.
No, I need to spend time working on it like by myself, like on my own, or even after camp or something like that, because you're trying to get a workout, and if you're so bad that you can't even get a workout, that's not good. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about failure is like I do think that embarrassment is the hardest thing to get over, is not wanting to like fail in front of other people. But in every example that I can think of, you will get so much further in whatever you're trying to do if you're willing to, risk having that failure and, changing your mindset around it and have it actually be a good thing than you would have if like you just stay in your comfort zone. I really believe that like the rock climbing gym is just such a good example. If I just went in there and climbed what I knew I could climb, I would literally never get stronger, never get better, and I'd be stuck at that same level forever. If I am willing to go in there and fall off the wall in front of other people and try something that I'm not quite sure if I can do or not, and I fall, but I get back up and try it again and again, and then I eventually do it, guess what? I will continue to, if I continue that mindset, I will continue to progress over time. And I feel like that is just like such a great example for like whatever, chosen thing you decide to want to pursue. Be willing to fail. So you asked about goals. So we did actually sit down and write some of our goals for 2025. Do you want to share? Do you remember what you had said? I wrote them all down.
Okay, you got it.
So I think let's start with some of the personal goals. So Danielle has a personal goal of attending 150 burn boot camps in the year. Now,
I said 100.
You did say 100, but we talked about it. I feel like that's the one thing with goals too, is like Danielle always calls herself a realist. But if you always set goals that are like very easily achievable for you, then I think you're not going to push yourself.
Well, I could say 125, but that's not a marker in their world.
You can definitely do 150. That's 100% within what you're capable of.
I can do it, but I just don't know. With all the other things going on, we're just trying to always do more and do different things. It just seems like a lot for me, but we'll see. How many camps are you going to?
I would like to attend 100 camps.
Okay.
I go less than you.
Well,
100 camps is a good goal for me.
Okay.
Don't you think?
How many did you get in 2024?
I think I was like maybe 70, 60
okay.
something.
Then 100 is a good goal.
Yeah, 100
but
is.
You joined much later.
I did join later, but I do work out outside the gym doing other stuff. And
okay.
Yeah, I think 100 is a pretty good goal for me.
What's your next goal?
I have a reading goal. I want to hit 60 books this year.
How many did you get in 2024? I know in 2023 you got like 100 and something, but that was like a rare year.
That's rare. I think in 2024 I had like 62, 63.
So you want to do less this year?
60 is the goal. I mean, I barely made that goal.
Yeah, but
I don't think I want to set a higher goal.
65?
I like 60 is a pretty good one.
So less.
Less than what I actually did. Yeah. I that was a stretch goal for me. I'm not trying to necessarily read more. I want to read the same amount. I read a lot this year, and I want to read the same amount that I did.
So 62.
Okay. 62. Your reading goal is what? 10?
5.
No, see, Dani.
I'm a low goal setter. I like to achieve my goals.
Yeah, you do. You like to set goals that you're that's the problem. You got to push yourself.
Yeah, but I will overachieve.
Yeah, but it needs to be, I think the proper goal needs to like stretch you just a little bit.
10.
Yeah, I think 10 is a good one.
Yeah.
We're like literally like the yin and yang for like the goal setting stuff. Danielle's like, I want to read one book this year. And it's like, Dan, you already did read one.
One weekend, I'm like, accomplished.
Yeah, you've already read it. You're like,
Yeah.
Just to say that to check it off the list.
I am a checker offer.
Okay, business goals. We really haven't sat down and gotten into like the nitty gritty of this as far as like the roadmap stuff. We've talked a little bit about it, but we would really like to. 2024 was the first year that we didn't have revenue growth for Tails Up Pup. So we want to have revenue growth again. So 2025, we want to be better than 2024. Mm-hmm. And then.
But yeah, we don't know the plan to get there. I think like that would be the interesting part to people listening to this. I feel like they're like, okay, and how are you going to do it? But overall, we just need to reevaluate. We run our whole business on social media, so we need to reevaluate our social media structure. What do people like seeing? What do we like creating? And that is definitely a main part of how we will get there. And obviously, the second main part would be products, what we're offering, and coming up with new things, better things, things that you guys like more. And so, products and marketing strategy are the two main things I would think of.
I agree with that. We also talked about Simply Sweet Pea really trying to double revenue for Simply Sweet Pea. That would be great.
I think that should for sure be doable. To me, the most scary part is, like I said, incorporating more things for me to do when I already added a baby is a little bit stressful because I'm like, there's just not enough time in the day. But if there is time in the day, then I think doing that goal would be very achievable because now we have a child. So we have someone to show the clothes. We have someone to create clothes for. Like before, I was just making clothes mostly for Ava, but a lot of the times I was like, I couldn't make boy things. And I'm just like, who do I even make these things for? I don't want to just make them for no reason, you know? So I think having more models, a model of our own. And now that I'm just a mom, I feel like I'm more creative in like what I would want to put on a kid. So in that aspect, and then just creating content, I feel like I barely get on the stories over there. I barely, have created that many reels in total. So I feel like that I could put more effort into it if I had the time.
I think all that makes a lot of sense. One thing that we talked about as a family, we would really like to start attending church again in person. Since the first 3 months with Callan, it's really hard to, I feel like, go to church in person with such a young baby, or at least, for us it has been.
I do think that he would do well. Now he is very predictable. In the beginning, he was unpredictable. Now he's predictable for the most part. I just think that we are living in a little bit of fear. And once we do it, I think we're going to be like, oh, like we can do this.
Right. Well,
it's
like
the first time.
Well, the first 2 months, we, didn't really want to take him anywhere where he's going to be around that many other people because of the shots. So
right.
That was a no-go. And now it's kind of like we're, learning his habits. And like you said, he's getting more predictable. So we feel a little bit more comfortable.
You have a goal that you didn't share. And in my view, looking at you is a book. Write about it.
Yes. The 5 a.m. Club.
That's so crazy.
I've already started to implement this a little bit in 2024, and I have really liked it, and I want to really continue this in 2025, and that is getting up like extra early. We used to do this actually, more often back in the day, but with the kid it was thrown off. But now I feel like we're getting back to it. I want to get up at 5 a.m. and I basically want to like get up early and like work on like a personal project of mine. I'm just trying to write more and just be able to have like an hour every day in the morning uninterrupted to like work on stuff that I'm interested in. And that's something that like I don't know that there's any other really good time, either early morning or night. And that's not exactly something I necessarily want to do at night before like winding down. So the morning is going to be a good time for that.
I have been enjoying waking up early too. Now that Callan is sleeping through the night, knock on wood, I am able to go to bed at my normal time now. And so like naturally I'm waking up at 5:30 and I'm able to get something done or even just have peace and quiet, read a book, but do something for myself before he wakes up has been really nice. Even just getting dressed before he wakes up is nice. So I've been enjoying that, but I would say that's not really a goal of mine.
Yeah, when you're like sleep deprived and like he's waking up in the middle of the night, you're taking every little bit of extra sleep or opportunity to get sleep that you can. So it's not like you're not like, oh, I'm going to wake up extra early to get some more sleep. It's like, I just need every hour of sleep that I can get.
I am non-functioning if I don't get my 8 hours of sleep.
I don't know. You were doing pretty well.
I was. My mom said it's something like when you have a baby, like it's in you that you push through.
Yeah, you were really pushing through. I kept getting sick and all of that stuff. It just like that was not good for me somehow.
Yeah, if Nick ever complains that Callan is why he's always sick, I'm gonna be like, remember when you were sick 500 times when he was born?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your goal is to not get sick.
Stay well. But you know what? With a little kid, that's probably going to be like a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
He's going to get me sick all
You need
the
a bubble
time.
to live in.
Yes. How am I so fragile?
I would love a goal to go on a trip of some type, but I don't think that's probably going to happen in 2024 or 2025. But in 2026, maybe we can make it happen.
Well, we're definitely going to go to Pennsylvania. We always do.
Yeah.
So that's for sure. Yeah, I really do like the getting up early. That 5 a.m. club book is, I mean, that's literally what it talks about. It's like getting up early, trying to do the things that like, you don't have time for, you feel like you don't have time for, and like an hour of uninterrupted time for whatever you're pursuing, like is a really cool thing to be able to do.
I know we talked about this, but I have not implemented it. So I feel like I should make it a goal to find something to bring my creativity back.
I think that you should work on writing a kid's book.
It could be a kid's book. It could be scrapbooking. I don't know what it's going to be for
What
me
if you
yet.
meld the two together?
Okay, so I have done that before and I really enjoyed it. So that could be a thing because I made Nick a scrapbook when he graduated and I wrote my own version of the places you go, and it was basically about graduating and where he's going to go in life, and I put pictures of us all throughout it. So that was fun. So maybe I could create something for Callan like
You
that.
should.
But the thing is, all these things cost money, and it's like, do I really want to spend money on that? But I feel like that would be worth spending money on because it will be a memory and it's something that he can treasure. I feel like for the most part, boys don't like to look back on photos as much as girls.
I don't
But
know.
you do, so
I like looking back.
yeah.
And particularly when like they're little, like one day they'll like to, when they're older, they'll like to really look back at that stuff, I think.
We have so many cute photos. So yeah, we definitely have to print them out and put them in a book. My last goal before we wrap it up. So in 2023, I loved using a physical planner. Now, for me, the reason I don't like a physical planner is because we're on the go so much and I like to be able to just pull it up on my phone. So for all the important like dates and events, I use my phone for. But for most of my like to-do list, my daily to-do list, I like to write them down. So I, as you can tell, have a lot of things going on and I like to be able to, make sure I'm getting done the things I need to get done. So in 2023, I loved my planner and I basically used it for that. And in 2024, I didn't get one. And I feel like Nick thinks it's so hectic. There's papers.
It is so hectic. It's like literally she has like these just like tear out pages that you'd put like a grocery list on. That literally is what it is.
Yeah, it's like a notebook.
And they're all over the place. And she's like, I can't find where I put it. And she uses them for bookmarks and like cookbooks.
Yeah, it's not a notebook. It's like a bound thing of papers that you like rip out and then you use it. So there's like papers all over the place. And then yeah, I wrote all of the Black Friday doorbusters by day on the paper and then I couldn't find it. And I'm not someone to misplace things. So that's why I was like, where did it go? It was right here. But then I had
blamed me as well.
Yeah, because I never moved the things that I need. And
but you
then
did.
I did because I used it as a bookmark in my cookbook and Nick ended up finding it. But that day he was like, nope, you're going back to the planner. So I ordered myself a 2025 planner and I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did in 2023 of using it for my to-do list and my day-to-day, but then not counting on it for all of my events.
No, I'm very glad that you're doing that.
Yeah.
The last thing that I'll say about kind of like wrapping up all this goals, resolutions and everything, definitely come up with some way to like check in with yourself along the year to like see your progress, because the one thing that I know is so true, and you'll probably agree with this, looking back at like 2024, how much actual like things and stuff got accomplished is crazy. So much things can happen in 1 year. And like if you work at something, even if it's just 30 minutes a day or an hour a day towards a goal, like you will be like shocked in 1 year how much you can accomplish after like the few goals that you set. It's crazy how much can happen. A year is a long time. It doesn't seem like it is, but if you show up and put in like consistent effort every single day, even if it's just a short amount of time, like you will be blown away with how like much progress you can make.
A fun way to keep track of your progress from year to year, Nick has a book called
One Line a Day.
One Line a Day. And so it's so fun when he'll like come running into the room that I'm in and he's like, oh, on this day 4 years ago, we did this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so cool that he has that to look back on.
I was looking back at some of the stuff from 2017 that I was writing about, and it's just so crazy to think like we were just such different people then, like so different, like and like what was important to us.
That was BTUP.
Yeah, before top.
Yeah.
before a lot of things. And so it is very good to like, remind yourself of like, wow, because I feel like in the moment you don't necessarily see your progress. It either feels like it's going really slow or whatever. But like if you like, look back, you're like, oh my gosh, I've made a lot of progress. And that, should just be a good indication to you of like, stick with it every single day. And then, you'll be amazed by the end how much progress you made.
Yeah, here's my 2 cents. If you are setting goals, set them for yourself and not comparison to other people. Because the other day I was seeing someone comment, like, how do you get so many people to buy your dog bandanas? Like, I'm barely can get 5 people. I'm like, girl, we've been doing this for so long, and this is not only my full-time job, this is Nick's full-time job. Like, we pour our heart, sweat, and tears into this for years. Like, if you just started out, don't expect to be where we are. And you got to set your own goals for yourself. Don't compare yourself to us, because you don't know all the ups and downs we had, and you don't know how long it took us to get here.
And I mean, it's the same. There's plenty of companies out there that sell way more stuff than us.
Right.
Way, way more.
So when we're evaluating our goals, we set them for ourselves and base it off of where we have been, rather than saying we want to be like them or, some other company.
And I think having inspiration is fine, but I think, like you said, you got to make sure that you don't compare yourself and like let that steal the joy of like your own, hard work and effort. Everybody's path is different, and it doesn't. Tip is definitely not always linear. And I think that's the one thing a lot of times, I know for me, like my mind thinks that my trajectory should just be a slow climb upward and everything going to be steady. And that is not like how any goals or life is at all. A lot of times it's like up, 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 down, 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 up, down, up, down. Like that's how it ends up turning to be. And that can be very demoralizing if you're in like one of the down phases. That's why like taking a larger step back and looking, I think, can be helpful.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If we have inspired you, go write down your goals for the year. Happy 2025. It is time to get after it and, get something done this year.
Love it.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.